Hey, and welcome to Insurance Town. I'm the mayor, Heath Sharon, and the host of this podcast. Guys, I'm super pumped. You've made it. You've arrived. You're here in Insurance Town, and it's a great and exciting episode today. Today, we've got the release of the recording of the town hall meeting from a couple of weeks ago with Dr. Billy Williams. Dr. Billy Williams was fantastic. He dropped some gold nuggets left and right. It was incredible, and I loved it. I know you did too. If you missed it, check out the recording right now. Stay on here. It's really, really good. This episode was sponsored by Canopy Connect, and they are your one-click solution to getting those deck pages you need to quote a prospect. You'll hear more from Tolga on the episode. Also, we had another drop of another sponsor. I've been teasing you. They've got a couple more sponsors coming up on the show. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to announce another one today, and then I'm going to announce another one in a couple of weeks. But Cover Desk. I'm so excited about this partnership. I'm super pumped because Andy Priestman is doing some big things over there at Cover Desk. You'll hear more from him on the episode as well, and throughout the rest of my episodes as he's coming on as a sponsor of the show. But if you have any questions at all, we'll get some contact information on the show. Keep listening and check that out. Today, like I said, is the recording of the town hall meeting with my man, Billy Williams. Dr. Billy Williams is a consultant and a agency investor and a lot of different things. And you're going to hear that throughout this episode. You're going to love it. And he's one of the most brilliant guys when it comes to consulting with agencies and what he does. It's so simple and so easy, yet so many agencies just won't do it. And he's going to tell you why you should. I can't wait. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this awesome conversation with my man, Billy Williams.
Who in the industry is here? I'm honored.
Yeah, it's a who's who today. Caitlin, if you want to get that screenshot going, I'm going to get started here in a few minutes.
Say cheese.
Nobody said cheese.
What a great group. All right. Yeah,
there we go.
Send it out.
No, that's awesome. Yeah,
Good.
I appreciate that. So for those who don't know, Billy Williams, crawl out from under a rock. But, Billy is the founder and president of Inspire a Nation. He's also got the Williams Family Foundation. He's got over 160 agencies or more with $1 billion in premium written every year. He's out killing it in podcasting. He's got his own website. He's got so many things going on. And I hear him all over the place on other people's podcasts. I wanted to bring him in today. And I had some excitement, as I mentioned, bringing him in because he's got so much to share. Whether you're in the insurance industry or like Ted Clouser, not in the insurance industry, I think you can learn a lot from Billy. And I want Billy to take 2 or 3, 4, 5, 7, however long he wants to. It's your damn show today. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Go back as far as you want to and bring us up. I know you've got a lot to say. So let's talk about who you are just a little bit.
You know what's really funny, Heath, is most people, they're not here to hear about me. They're here to hear about what can make them better. So let me start with that first and foremost. I'm not an agent. I'm not a sitting insurance agent anymore. Left that years ago. I'm now an agency investor, meaning I buy into insurance agencies. I'm not one of the Donnellys or Berkeleys or Higginbothams or whatever that's going to come in and buy you and you're going to go away. No, I'm going to come in and I'd say, look, I want 20% of your agency or 25% of your agency. I'll bring in our management team. I'll bring in our processes. I'll take your technology and make it better. And I'll show you how you can take wherever you are right now and do 3, 4, 5 times more growth. And in your agency growing, my part of the agency increases as well. So if you don't make any more money, I don't make any more money. And I think that's important because there's so many consultants that are out here, and so many gurus, and so many, and I'm not. I'm not a public speaker. I'm not a consultant. I'm not a guru. I'm just a guy who's figured out that this shit's pretty easy. You know, what we do in insurance is pretty simple, and people make it complicated. So let me tell you about my background. I'm a military brat. My dad was military for 35 years, and then I went in the military. I was in for 21 years. I have a PhD in finance, which the military paid for, which is why I stayed in for 21 years, right? To get that free education. And I was commander of Army College recruiting when I retired. So that meant that if there was a recruiter anywhere on a college campus in the United States, they worked for me. I'm a sales guy. At the end of the day, let's just be honest about what I am. I'm a sales guy. The difference between sales and service is that sales is a relationship. Service is a transaction, okay? So we hire these people like CSRs or whatever else, and they can take an order, they can, you know, ring you out of the express line, but they can't develop a relationship. So what I tried to do was figure out where's the real money in this industry and where's the relationship. The money for me was in building the organization. It wasn't in being the sitting agent. That's not my strength. I was a good sitting agent, but I'm a great organization builder because that's what I grew up under. So that's kind of where we are. So my thing was simplified. In the military, everything is, if you can't explain it in one sentence or less, it's too damn complicated. Okay, that's reality. That's the whole goal. If I can't teach you in one sentence or less how to do something, it's too complicated. So my thing was, why are all these complicated things in the insurance industry? Hell, we only sell 3 pots of money. Money for you and your family, money for others you'll end up owing, and then money to repair or replace what you choose to insure. That's it. We sell 3 pots of money. How the hell do we make that complicated? Okay, we make it complicated through technology not integrating. We make it complicated because we don't control our people and their processes and their conversations and their workflows. We make it complicated because we just want it to be complicated. So we can say, oh my God, it's so complicated. It's not. We sell 3 pots of money. That's it. So hopefully you guys are on here today so that I can show you that this is not hard. This is not complicated. If I can invest in 160 plus agencies and 13 or 14 of them are scratch. We went from scratch because there were some areas that we didn't want to buy an agency in. We wanted to build it from the ground up. So if I can manage 160 plus agencies, a little over $1.32 billion, come on guys, you can run a damn 5, 10, 15, 20 million revenue agency. It's not that hard. But you got to keep stuff simple. And more importantly, you got to practice the 4 types of discipline: self-discipline, accountability, automation and technology, and outsourcing. If you don't practice those 4 disciplines, you're not going to grow your agency. So I don't know. It's probably a long-winded explanation. They still don't know who the hell I am. Basically, I'm just a guy that has figured out a way to make this easy.
Yeah, you stole a little bit of my thunder there, bro. I was going to ask you about those 4 disciplines, if you wanted to talk about those a little bit. And you also talk about, you don't have to go into all of them, but you have got your agencies that you have, you know, when you buy into those, you don't just buy in them and say you run it how you want to. You give them some guardrails and you give them, you know, 21 agency tasks, or, you know, you talk about your 4 disciplines. You talk about some of those things. Could you, you know, bring up and discuss some of those, you know, simple, as you would say, 21 tasks?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when we buy into an agency, understand, first of all, why does an agency even let us buy in? That's the first thing you have to understand. Because most of these agencies, I'm not buying agencies where the person's ready to retire. I'm buying agencies where the person's ready to grow. And so we'll sit down and we'll talk, and I'll say, well, look, here's what we know. Here are the 23 core processes. Here's what you need to do. Here's how you got to manage your people. And usually they're great agents. They just suck at management. Okay. They suck at organization building. And so when they allow me to buy into the agency, I'm taking over their weaknesses. I'm the guy that's doing the training because they don't train. I'm the guy that's holding their people accountable because they don't hold their people accountable. They don't want to fuss at Judy. You know, Judy's got 3 kids and she's got this, and well, then Judy needs to do her job really, really well so that Judy can spend more time with her damn kids, as opposed to sitting here stressing with you over why you only got 10 sales this week. So when I come into an agency, I'm coming in as a senior advisor, but also most of the time as I'm the Guido of the group. You know what I mean? I'm the guy that's not afraid to make the tough call, or not afraid to bust the chops when the chops need to be busted.
So you come on,
And Guido was a name, not a race, nationality, group. Guido was just a name. Okay.
No,
Okay.
you're good.
For any of my Italian friends out there.
No, I get it. And so you come in, not necessarily drill sergeant style, but you come in and help them manage that. And so for the agencies out here now, if they are sitting around or hovering at the same premium volume they've been at, whether it's a couple million or, couple, 20, 30, 40 million, what could they do to get to that next step, that next level?
First thing is have agency standards. One of the biggest problems that I run into in most agencies is they don't have a standard of coverage recommendations. Okay. Whether your person is strong, salesperson's weak, whatever, it doesn't matter. Everyone should be talking from the same standard. So that means if the agency standard for uninsured motors, as an example, is 100, 300, then that is the standard. And any customer that takes something below that, they need to sign a decline coverage form. They're going to get a confirmation email, and we're probably going to put something in their notes saying we recommend this standard. Now what that does is that eliminates emotion. The number one problem, if you guys are taking notes, the number one thing that destroys agency growth is unmanaged emotions. Emotions destroys all of that. Now, notice I didn't say mismanaged emotions. I said unmanaged emotions, and I did that specifically. Mismanaged emotions means you come in every day and you kind of got an idea of where you want to go, and but I didn't do it real well. Unmanaged is we don't know what the hell we're going to feel like today. We don't know what Judy's going to do. We don't know what Bob's going to do. We don't know what Dave's going to say. We don't have a clue. So everybody's scared, this unmanaged emotion. So how do you manage emotions? First and foremost, you have to take the thought process out of it. So you have to have standard processes that you talk from, standard coverages that you talk from, checklists that you follow, processes that you follow. When I can get people to remove the emotion from what we do as a process, then it's easy. Because why doesn't Judy cross-sell? Because Judy was told no as a child. Her dad told her no. Her friends told her no. And now she's going to get a job that potentially is going to tell her no. So she's not going to be told no again. She's not bringing it up. I don't want to bother the customer. I'm sorry. We have one job. Offer the coverage that best protects our customers' quality of life should they have a claim. If you can't do that, why are you in insurance? So when Judy doesn't cross-sell, or Bob doesn't cross-sell, or Dave won't mention this weakness, or Tom won't mention this weakness, most of the time it's because of our emotion. It's because we got some emotion attached to it. Here's the deal, Heath. I never get pushback from customers. All my pushback comes from agents. So when I say, hey guys, we need to make sure that everyone who has below this standard is told. I can tell 100 customers, they go, oh, thank you, I appreciate it. I might take it, I might not take it, but I appreciate the fact that you tell me. An agent? Oh, we can't do that. That's going to make Mr. Bob mad. If we tell him that we sold him this broke ass policy, now we're going to go tell him that it's broke? We can't do that. So
no, I'm with you.
That's the problem.
I think one of the other things that I hear you talk about that I think is not utilized, at least, in the agencies I talk to, is, you have these standards. If the client doesn't want to meet those standards, you have them sign a declination form. And that's something huge within your agencies. You could still sell the policy, but you're going to have them sign a declination form. Talk to me about that a minute, and then I'll open up some questions here in a minute.
Absolutely. Here's the deal. 30 cents of every dollar that we make with a current customer, Now, again, $1.3 billion business, 30 cents of every dollar that we make with a current customer comes from the decline coverage form. That's how powerful that form is. So if I'm talking to you, Heath, and let's say you're broke, you went through a bad financial time and you have to drop down to 5,100 in order to keep the policy. I'm not going to try to twist your arm, but I am going to say our standard is 100, 300. I'll sell you the 5,100, but I need you to sign this decline coverage form saying this is our standard and this is what you're taking. I'm doing that for 3 reasons, agents. Number 1, because it's not in my customer's best interest to sell them 5,100, but that's what they want. I got it. Number 2, I don't ever want another agent to be able to say something to my customer that I didn't say to my customer. When a customer leaves me or leaves one of our agencies, it's because they just wanted to leave. It's not because they didn't get great service. It's not because somehow the agent out-educated them. The agent told them something that we didn't tell them, right? So that's never going to happen. And the number 3 thing is I need everyone talking from the same standard. In the military, the reason why we're able to take 17, 18, 19-year-old snotty-nosed kids from all over the United States and make them into the best fighting force in the world is because we go through basic training. And basic training gives us all the standards. I don't give a damn if you're from Queens, New York. I don't care if you're from Iowa. I don't care if you're from LA. I don't care if you're from Nebraska. I don't care where you're from. We all graduate after that 12 weeks understanding the same standard. But we don't do that in insurance. Does that make sense?
I'm with you. I wanted to stop a few minutes and give anybody else that wants to unmute and ask a question of my man Billy. If there's something in your agency you want to talk to him about, I'm sure there's not a question he hadn't heard yet. And if you stump him, it might be kind of fun to have that recording right now.
Hey, let's do it. Let's do it.
Anybody want to unmute and ask a question? I know Mitch always wants to talk.
Well, duh. I kind of put a comment there in the section, but I mean, we talk about the work environment and the emotions and stuff. As just an agent producer for the others in the office, how do you as an agent help? Sometimes it just bothers me, the vibe it gets real low, and it just I shut my door because I don't want to maybe hear some things or whatnot. But how would somebody deal with the emotions of others for them not letting them affect their workplace or their work environment?
Again, it all boils down to a standard. Let's keep it really, really, really simple. If everyone is talking from the same standard, if everyone has the same standard of coverage, the same standard of activity, the same standard of action, and that's not to say that everybody's job is the same. It just means we all understand our standard within that role. Now, the only emotion is in dealing with the customer. So I can put more emotion into Mrs. Jenkins and her cats and the fact that this happened and her nephew is now in town. And I can put emotion into that because I'm not putting emotion into them pushing a button, but we put emotion into pushing a button. You see what I'm saying? So if you're dealing with your staff and your people are emotional, I can promise you it's because, number 1, your system is broken. Seriously.
I know it is.
Okay, your system is broken. And by system, I mean your technology and all that. I teach this method called S4TS, okay? S4TS. That's what everything in our business is based on.
Get your pen and paper ready.
We have a standard for everything. Then there are 4 T's. Task, tools, right? Technology, training, and spot checking. So that means I'm going to have a standard. I'm going to know what task, those 23 core tasks that we're going to do, and I'm going to have a standard for each of those. I'm going to know the technology and how it integrates. Roushin is on, and I've been around with Roushin almost since Insured Mind started. He'll tell you that. Roushin and I have these 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night phone calls where I'm asking questions and he's asking me questions and we're doing whatever. And one of the things that they've really worked on is making the integration work so that I don't have to go to 6 different systems to do 6 different things. But some agencies choose easy over effective. Okay. So the staff will say, well, This is much easier to do this, but it's not effective as an agency. But it's easier to go over here, but it's not effective as an agency. So one of the things that we really run into when it comes to technology is you got all these random damn pieces of technology that don't talk to each other. They don't communicate. So if I'm trying to set up a drip email program and then set up a drip text message program and then set up some other type of system over here, I got to go to 3 different systems to do it. I've seen agencies literally guys, where I'm trying to send a confirmation email, which should be as simple as, okay, here's your coverage, here's your this, let's send a template and we're done. And I've seen agencies have to use 4 different pieces of tools or 4 pieces of technology to send a confirmation email. One confirmation email. Oh, yeah, we don't send it through our agency management system. We go over to blank, blank, blank. And then we take that and copy it and take it over to blank, blank, blank. And then we go to Outlook and we attach it. And it's like, damn, can't you click one button and just send an email? No, we don't have that set up.
And unfortunately,
especially if they use technology outside of our industry. HubSpot was not built for the insurance industry. So why are you using it? So
they don't have an option.
Don't get me started, my man.
well, no, you're good. And unfortunately, that's a problem that a lot of people have with their tech stack or whatever they're using in their agencies, as I've seen a lot of heads shaking as you were saying that. Also, you mentioned something a few minutes ago that I wanted you to talk about for a minute, because we have a lot of agency people on here as well. And even if you're not an agency, Ted Klauser said he was getting a lot out of this, and he's not in our business. If he's still on here, where's he at? Is he still?
Well, Ted, also, just to let you know, Ted,
No,
I
Ted's
own
still-
a lot of other stuff outside of insurance. I own the Miss Latina Texas pageant. I own some chatbot companies. I own some other investment companies. So I own some real estate stuff. So everything is not just insurance. I just try to make insurance blend with everything.
Yeah, you definitely do. Now, one of the things that, as I was getting into is the spot checking. I think that works everywhere. You mentioned that as part of, can you get into spot checking just for a minute, and then I'll open up for someone else to ask questions too. I think spot checking.
Absolutely. Spot checking is nothing more than making sure that people are meeting the standards. So let me give you an example of a spot check. Let's say we're doing the endorsement process, right? And on the endorsement process, I have very specific steps. Number 1, look up by mobile number, not by last name. Look up by mobile number, because I want everyone to know that we have the right mobile number. 2, give permission to text message. 3, verify whatever it is they want to do, and then make sure that I've pointed out any policy weaknesses, meaning something below our standard. Number 4, send a confirmation email. If it's a major coverage they decline, send a decline coverage form. Easy, right? So I have to spot check that. Spot checking is not me calling Judy saying, hey, Judy, did you do this? No, spot checking is 8 o'clock in the morning before anyone's in the office. I'm going to pull an activity report of what happened yesterday. I'm going to go in and look at 3 or 4 different activities. I'm going to say, okay, this was an endorsement. That was an endorsement. That was an endorsement. And then I'm going to go through and say, did they meet my standards? Number 1, did they look up by mobile number? I'm going to look, is there a number inside the mobile field? Okay, good. Number 2, did they make sure I have permission to text message? So I'm going to go in and look at my system, and wherever my text message permission box, is that checked? If that's not checked, then that means you didn't follow my process, or I should see a note that said they didn't give us permission to text message. Number 3, I'm looking for a policy weakness. I know my standards. So if my standard is 100, 300 for this, if it's a replacement cost for home, if it's, 1 million, 1 million, or 2 million aggregate for a BOP, or whatever my standard is, all I got to do is go and look at the policy. If the customer's policy does not match my standard, then I need to see a note, a confirmation email, or decline coverage form that said you said something. I can't just see a standard, it's not met, and there's no confirmation that you ever had that conversation. No, that's not going to work. And so then I'll go in and look for that. Now, the key is, what happens if you don't match my standards? See, this is where most agents have a problem. There's no sense of repercussion. There's nothing. You have nothing. You're just pissed off. Now you're yelling at them. They're yelling at you. There's nothing. I use enhanced pay. Enhanced pay says your base pay is $15 an hour, but I'm going to pay you $3 more than that just from the jump. So you're now making $18 an hour. but $3 of that is variable. So if I do these spot checks and you fall below 80% in my spot checks, your next paycheck, that $3 that I gave you is now gone. It's gone. You can earn it back on the next paycheck, but that $3 is gone. Now you tell your husband, your wife, your significant other why your paycheck is $400 lighter because you didn't want to send a damn email. You explain that.
That's strong, bro. That's strong.
See, that's part of the problem. Agents don't have a repercussion. Because there is no repercussion, then the only repercussion you have is to fuss, yell, scream, or fire. See, I have a repercussion.
There you go. Anybody else want to jump in here and ask some questions? Billy, you went away there for a second on the camera. I don't know if what happened there, but there you go.
Oh yeah, no problem. No problem.
Anybody else want to ask a question? I'm surprised that some of you haven't yet, but go ahead.
It's because I haven't shut up. I talk a lot. Caitlin interviewed me. She knows I talk all the damn time.
It's a great episode, Billy. I called it Tough Love. So he
There
calls
you
it
go.
Busting Chops. And Billy, I just wanted to piggyback off of what you're saying, because we've experienced that in our own agency, where we've had situations where we've had really talented sales managers, leaders, directors who were really gifted and totally engaged and all in, yet still struggled to hold their teams accountable.
Mhm.
And we found that if we put the rails in place, it kind of like prevents them from having that guilty feeling where they're second guessing their judgment. So if you can line out, like, what's the job description? What are the KPIs? What are the steps we're going to take if these are missed the first time, the second time, the third time within a 30-day period of time or 90-day period of time? It takes that guesswork out so that that person doesn't have to feel like, oh, well, maybe I'm not giving enough grace. Maybe if I just gave them 2 more months to figure out their outbound dials, for example, or their bundling. I think bundling is a big one where some associates just really struggle to review that car and that home together. It empowers them to make it to that next level of leadership, because they have to get that accountability piece down, or it's going to hold them back for a long time, even if they are really gifted and talented.
And in my opinion, this is just my opinion. I've heard this word accountability thrown around in the insurance industry since I've been in it, 17 years now. Accountability, accountability, accountability. But what I don't hear is repercussion. Okay? Accountability without repercussion is nothing but a wish. Please remember that. Accountability without repercussion is nothing but a wish. You're hoping that the person will do what you want them to do. And if they don't, then you're going to hope even harder. Okay? That's not going to work. And I'm not saying that you got to be ready to fire people. You got to be ready to do this. I'm saying there should be a repercussion, whether that's one of the biggest repercussions we use. If you miss your KPIs, you now have to train the entire team on your KPIs. Okay? Trust me, people are, I don't know why, but people are terrified to train. And so I'm saying, well, Judy, your KPI was you needed to make 100 phone calls using our power dialer, and you needed to use this script and you needed to handle this many objections. And I checked all that. I listened to your calls and you didn't do it. So now next Tuesday, you're going to train everybody on how to do it. What that does is it makes Judy have to go prepared. The best way to learn something is to teach it. Okay, that's how the military works. The best way to learn something is to teach it. So if you can't teach it, you don't know it. And when you do prepare to teach it, it makes you learn it better, makes you go deeper into the learning. So that's one of our repercussions is if you miss your KPIs, you now have to teach the entire office your KPIs. I've had people quit rather than teach their own KPIs.
Sure. I have a question for you, Billy.
Uh-huh.
You mentioned something earlier that I thought was pretty eye-opening. You said, tell me if I got this right. You said sales is a relationship and service is a transaction. Did I get that right?
Yes. Yes.
I think it's pretty common to hear agents say it the other way around. Am I right, guys? Do you guys know anybody that would say sales is the transaction and service is the relationship?
You're 100% correct. I mean, I've heard that a million times.
So can you tell
No.
us a little bit more about that, Billy, and like what happens if you flip it and get it backwards?
Absolutely. Here's why. What is a salesperson, a true salesperson, what do? They're going to offer you something that they feel like will make your life better. Okay? That's a relationship. That's I'm going deeper than just numbers and deeper than just pushing buttons and deeper than this. I'm actually taking you and saying, I think I have something that will make your life better. That is a relationship. Transactions are just simple buttons. You know, a transaction is when I go to Kroger to buy bread. I live in Texas, so we have Kroger, Safeway, wherever you guys go. I don't have a relationship with a cashier. Okay, I might ask, hey, how's your day? But I don't have a relationship with a cashier. And I've yet to have a cashier tell me, you know, looking at you, I think you should go with Wonder Bread versus home style bread. You know, I don't get that from a cashier. They're like bread, cheese, milk, butter, ring. That'll be $4.67. Have a great day. They let me decide what is best, right? Whereas a true salesperson, a true consultant, I'm going to take you and go, I think you're actually better off if you do this. So that's why I say sales is a relationship. Service is a transaction. So that's why your service people don't want to upsell. They just want to transact. They don't want to make somebody's life better. They don't want to change the dynamics of the relationship. They just want to do the transaction. And that's the end of it. That's what I find.
That's a good way of looking at that, and I appreciate that. And thanks for the question, Caitlin. I appreciate that as well. Anybody else? Who? Okay, go ahead, babe. I mean, Stacy.
Billy, we have a lot of agencies that have maybe a principal and 2 account managers.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're saying, the account managers, they don't want to move forward in doing any kind of sales. They just want to do the transactions. But in agencies that size, they have to help sell. So how can you encourage them to move from the transaction want to the service want to the relationship want, so that you can fully round out your agency and know that anytime anybody calls, that one of your employees can handle that?
Super simple. It was a simple question, and it's a very simple solution. Everyone should talk from the same standard. See, if, let's say, uninsured motorists in your agency, 100, 300, right? I don't need to have a relationship with you to say, our agency standard is 100, 300, and you have 5,100. My boss says if you go below our standard, I have to do these 2 things. I have to send you a confirmation email, and I have to have you sign a decline coverage form. Now, in their mind, they're still doing a transaction because it's just steps. But because of the way the process was designed, it becomes a relationship process. See, part of the problem is agents try to get staff to buy in. I don't need you to buy in. I just need you to do what I need you to do. So if you believe in what you're doing, great. But if you don't believe in it and you do it, that's all I need from you. Okay? And again, that goes back to my military training. And I did 21 years in the military. I didn't always buy in to everything that they said. When I'm getting shipped off to Panama and people are shooting at me, I'm not buying into that shit, okay? I'm not. But I better do what I'm supposed to do, or else I'm going to end up dead and get other people around me dead. Part of the problem with agents is you want everybody to sing Kumbaya. You want there to be the brotherly love and, you know, make our agency great again and do all this other kind of crap. I don't need all that. Okay? I don't need all that. What I need you to do are do the things that I'm asking you to do. I've built the relationship into the process. I just need you to work the process.
So you're giving them that comfortable spot in which to work as long as they follow the process.
As long as they follow the process. The relationship is built into the process. So if you come to me and you've got a home and you've got an auto, but you don't have an umbrella, and my process says, my agency says, our standard is if you've got home and you got auto, I have to mention umbrella. And if you turn down umbrella, I have to have you sign a decline coverage form. To the service person mentality, that's still a transaction because I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to get emotionally involved. I just had to do the transaction. To the salesperson, I am now in the relationship part of this. But to me, as the agency owner, it's the same process. I don't care who did it. It's the same highway. You just took different on-ramps to get on the exact same highway. So your easy solution is build a damn standard in these agencies and make everybody work from those standards.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking that question, for answering that. And that was awesome. Ryan, you've unmuted. You wanted to say something? I know you're dying to.
Yeah, so, and I will say, I appreciate you taking the time to kind of go over this. These are all things that are obviously very important to a lot of agencies. We are a newer agency, so I think we're 15 months in total. So with that being said, we've actually kind of accidentally done a lot of the things you said, right? And I say accidentally because we didn't always put the processes on paper and create the menu, so to speak. As you can imagine, being a brand new agency from scratch, we are very sales minded, and we have been blessed to have two people here kind of driving towards the same goal, and our vision has been very clear, and that hasn't really been a problem. We're obviously getting into renewals and service, and people are wrecking cars and buying investment properties. So sales kind of becomes an extension of your service, and that kind of stuff has come natural as well. But we don't have the smoothest processes, that same menu that you're kind of talking about. This is what we do, bang, 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 here's the process. My question to you is, I can imagine if you were investing in our agency, you bring your team of rock stars in here and say, here's the user's manual, don't screw this up. I've been working on it for several years. But if you were giving me or another guy like me advice, and this is a selfish question, like what's that balance, right? So I still have to sell and service. I don't have the luxury of sitting behind my desk and just being a CEO. Like what's that balance of like 30% of your time, versus how much of your time that you're working on your business, on your processes, and working in your business? Like what advice would you give there, I guess you would say?
Again, very simple question. So I'm gonna give you a very simple solution. You as an agency leader, it takes 4 hours a day for you to make your agency into a rock star. For a service person, it takes 2 hours a day for them to make your agency into a rock star. I know but they work 8 hours a day. So let me explain why. Every person has 4 major tasks that cover their salary. Let's be honest. I know you say, oh, I do 30 different things. Yeah, but there are really only 4 things you do that cover your salary. So all I have to do is time block the 4 things that you do that cover your salary. So Ryan, that means for you as a new agent, you're going to have an hour in the morning for spot checking before the rest of the staff gets in there so that you can keep a grip of what is actually going on in your agency. Okay, that's 1 hour. The next hour for you is going to be sales. And for your sales as the agency owner, your job is to go out and find the biggest damn accounts that you can. Your job is not to chase renters policies. Your job is not to go after homeowners policies. Your job is to go after the big ticket items. And you're going to set aside an hour for that and go after the biggest customers that you can. You're going to call them, email them, phone them, do whatever you got to do, right? That's 2 hours. In the afternoon, you've got another 2 hours where you're going to spot check the service to make sure that everything is going the way that you wanted it to. That's when you spot check your endorsement process, spot check your claims process, spot check all those other things, right? And then the last hour is training, because you're going to train your people to do all the things that you need them to do. Now, that's 4 hours of your day. which means the other 8, because you're a business owner, so you're working 12-hour days, right? That means the other 8 hours is spent putting out fires, dealing with whatever issues you have, dealing with whatever. But if you don't take the time to create wealth, all of your time is spent fighting off poverty. Okay? If you need to write that down, write that down. If you don't make, let's not say take, let's say make. If you don't make the time to create wealth, then all of your time is spent fighting off poverty. So I just gave you your 4 hours of wealth making time. Okay, one is going to be spot checking, and you're going to spot check your salespeople, so your sales team, all those things. One is going to be you building relationships or going after your sales. One is going to be you spot checking your service to make sure that people are cross-selling, they are sticking to the standards, they are doing those other things. And then the other hour is you training, you getting them where you need them to be. And then you let the other 8 hours take care of themselves. Now for your staff, that's different because they're not spot checking. So that means they have 2 hours. 1 hour in the morning is dedicated to them doing whatever their primary task is, whether that's sales. So that's 1 hour of unencumbered, no disruption sales, right? I'm calling, I'm using PETS, PETS, phone, email, text message, social networking. So I'm calling people, I'm emailing people, I'm sending them a text message, I'm reaching out to them using social networking. That's how Heath and I connected. We connected through LinkedIn, right? So that's what I'm doing. Now, the second hour of that day is whatever the second primary KPI is that I'm supposed to do, whether that's outbound calling, whether that's finishing up these applications, whether that's setting up business referral partners, whatever the second main KPI that covers my salary is, that's what I'm doing. And I'm doing that 2 hours every single day. That means I've got 6 hours to catch up on all the fires, to put out the bull crap, to do whatever. And then once a week, I'm with you, Ryan, because you're training us. So that's why I said, trust me, it only takes 4 hours a day for you to make your agency into a rock star agency. And for your team, it only takes 2 hours a day, because the other hours are not spent making you into a rock star. The other hours are spent just maintaining your agency. But without those 4 hours, you're not setting aside the time to create wealth. You're just running on the hamster wheel. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate the simplistic answer too, just because I think that trap, and I might be, completely by myself. I know, DJs, everybody's idle, and, some of these people got it really figured out. But I mean, I think it's so easy to fall into that trap that I'm going to survive this 9-10 hour day and just survive it and not focus on thriving or creating wealth whatsoever. And there's always one more policy to sell. There's always one more something to do than carving out that hour to write your processes down. I think it's easy, but that's an accountability issue, obviously.
Well, Ron, do you have children?
I do.
Okay. How old is your baby or babies?
4. I got a
4. So let's say you're at work and there's a customer sitting there and they've got 4 RVs. They've got 2 rental houses. They've got all these other things sitting right there. And they're like, I'm ready to do this right today. Let's write the policy. And all of a sudden you get a call that says your baby fell at daycare and broke his or her arm. What do you do?
I grab them a bottle of water, appreciate them for coming, and escort them out politely.
And you hand them off to one of your other team. They'll take your paperwork, they'll do whatever. I'm going to go check on my child, right? Because that's my priority. See, that's how agents don't treat their money-making time. Okay? They don't treat money-making time like that. They let everything in the world interfere with money-making time. So I've got an hour blocked off for you to call 10 of the biggest companies in your area. But all of a sudden, Mr. Jenkins walks in. Hey, Ryan, how are you? Oh, hey, how are you? Man, my nephew's in town. And there goes 20 minutes. Instead of Ryan saying, well, you know what, Mr. Jenkins, I'm actually in a meeting. I'm going into a meeting right now. But after this hour, I'll be more than happy to call you back. But right now, I've really got to get to this meeting. We don't do that. We let everything else in the world interfere with our money-making time. Rauschen will tell you if he's still on. And I think I've talked to Andy about this before. Nothing interferes with my money-making time. Nothing. Okay, so if this time right here that I have blocked off with Heath, this is an appointment. Heath will tell you this wasn't just a, hey, Billy, what are you doing? I was like, Heath, go to my calendar. Here are the times that I have blocked off that I can actually sit down and talk with you. Block off that time.
Now,
Right.
Billy, you're killing me here. I tell everybody you're my best friend and that we talk every day, and now you're making it sound like I'm just kidding. That was for DJ.
You know what though?
That was for DJ.
Even my kids, you know what? Every Sunday we sit down as a family and I go, guys, if there's something that you need me to do this week, put it in the family calendar. Because if it's not in the family calendar and Wednesday comes and it's not an emergency, you won't see Daddy.
It's intentional. It's being intentional with your time. And
Absolutely.
my wife and I, who's on this, we have a shared calendar that we have to look at on our own stuff like that. When she's got her own meetings and I've got mine and things like that. So I think that's a good thing to hear on this. I appreciate that response as well. I think you said, Andy, I think you had a question you wanted to ask. I'm going to call you out if you want to unmute.
Yeah, not even necessarily a question. Billy, good stuff, man. You're always bringing it. Really, Ryan, for you or anyone here, I actually, and this is more a dedicated topic, but I have a marketing 101 deck. It's a 60-page presentation I put together at my old agency. If you need any help with your marketing strategy specific for you or your agency partners or your producers, let me know. I have this really slick dedicated marketing 101 strategy that lays out your activity-based solutions and the strategies you should implement to make sure you're getting good leads in the door. Now I know that wasn't specifically what you were talking about, Ryan and Billy, but kind of a one-off scenario.
And you're a sales guy. This is what I'm talking about right here. Andy is not a transactional guy. So he takes this opportunity to say, I've got something that can make your life better. I've got something that can make your life easier. He didn't come on and say, hey, I got some stuff and, let me know. He's telling me why it's going to make our life better. That's the difference between a relationship and a transaction. Right. So, Andy, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to bring that up because that's exactly what I'm talking about. You're a sales guy. You're not a transaction guy.
Precisely. And it really when I was operating my agency, it was all about activity. If you're going to do the activity, eventually it's going to turn into results. And you can control your activity. So when you lay out your strategy, whatever we're talking about, just put in the activity and make sure it's consistent and persistently doing those consistent items, and it's gonna work. So I'll send you that packet. It'll help tremendously, and it'll actually help with your goals too, and setting your goals. Because if you can work backwards and say, I want to make this amount of money in a given year, you can work on how much premium you need to write in a given month, which breaks down how many leads you need to generate in order to get to that premium. If you have 50% close ratio, which is actually pretty low, you're going to be able to equate to how many leads you need to hit your mark. So this will all break it down for you.
And Andy, if you'll type your email address in the chat, that way Ryan or anybody else that wants that can do that for you. And so that's awesome. And it looks like Ryan England wants that as well. Again, thank you, Andy, for joining us, and thank you.
And that's great that he's giving that away, guys, because I don't give away shit. So I'm really glad that we have all that, but I'm not giving it to you. You got to be a member of our organization for us to give you that. I'll give you my time on this conversation, but I'm not giving you my stuff. So
cheers to that.
I appreciate that he's willing to do that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Anybody else have any other questions? Anybody else have anything else as we're going to wrap up in the next 10, 15 minutes? Anybody else?
I saw something. I mean, this goes back to Billy. Let's be real quick. Billy's more of a statement than a question. But when Billy was talking about his kids, putting kids into the calendar. Hey, if you got something in the calendar, make sure you put it in there. I just love that. And I know my kids are one's 6 and one's 2. But as they get older, it kind of teaches them that responsibility and then also that professional mindset. I mean,
you have to.
It's amazing. Like that's a really cool. And for me as a young father, it's nice to be able to.
Well, I have 5 kids. Here's what you got to understand, Mitch. I have 5 kids.
I'm one of 6.
Okay. And I'm an only child, so you know how that goes. But I have 5 kids, and all my kids are very active. My oldest son I mean, God, he was just so super talented and was always busy doing stuff with art and busy doing stuff with music and busy doing stuff with that. My second daughter, she won a national championship in dance. Yeah, in dance. So she won a national championship. So she was always busy. My oldest or my youngest son of the second, I have two groups. I have the two older ones, then I have the younger three. My oldest one, he's at USC right now. He's studying finance and mathematics at University of Southern California. And he was student body president. He was captain of the golf team. He was, National Honor Society. He was all this other stuff. And then you have my 17-year-old who's really into music. She did America's Got Talent. She's, all that. I mean, really, really into that. And then my youngest, who I'm down here with a powerlifting, she's actually competing in the state powerlifting championships right now, which is why I'm in Corpus Christi, Texas. So imagine 5 kids, 100 and something partners, plus I play golf, plus I'm married, plus I have a personal life. Without a calendar, dude, I'm living in chaos. So the only way that I could organize all that is to be able to look and say, I've got all these people doing all these things on these days, and I make sure that they put that first. Now, first thing is on the calendar. My family goes on my calendar first, not my job. My family goes on my calendar first. And then after my family is on the calendar, then I build my job around my family. That's how I keep balance.
Makes sense.
That's how I keep balance.
What about, like, say, I know you get the example of your daughter's arm broke or something like that. What's your step? Are you leaving? You got team members to help. What about, like, say you have a meeting, you set up a meeting with John Smith business wise on Friday, based off your daughter's dance recital, whatever, he now performs during that time. You're rescheduling that meeting with your business partner.
Well, hopefully my daughter's dance recital did not get canceled, and it won't interfere with that, because I didn't schedule the business meeting before I scheduled the recital. I scheduled the recital first and then scheduled the business meeting around when the recital came. But if something were to happen, life is never perfect. If something were to happen, I always have a backup plan. So that means either I'm going to miss my daughter's recital, which I don't want to, but sometimes you might have to, or either that phone call or that face-to-face that I was going to have now becomes a phone call.
Makes sense.
Okay. Hey, I'm going to call you while I'm on my way to my daughter's recital because something happened, but let's go ahead and do that right now.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Again, that's solid. Going back to that calendar and making smart usage of that calendar and organizing your kids. That's fantastic. DJ, I did want to call you out. I know you've got some questions. You've been unmuting yourself every time I give opportunity. You got to get quicker, bro. Go ahead, DJ.
Hey, appreciate it. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll make sure. So, Ryan, I appreciate the compliment. I'll pay you later. But I want to chime in and let you know that actually Dr. Billy Williams is who I learned a lot of this stuff from early on in my career. I was a member of his Inspire Nation, and I won't fool you into believing that I implemented it all, but I took what I liked and I used it. But the biggest thing that you taught and we implemented, Dr. Williams, is the processes. So I just wanted to say thanks for that. Obviously, we were members and we were paying for it, but there's a lot of value in what he shares, even right now.
Well, thank you.
But if you want to really do a deep dive into what he's talking about and get better and create a very valuable agency with a great culture that is stress-free, he's your man. Trust me.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Guys, one of the things I want to say real quick, because I know we're running short of time, and I don't want this to become a sales pitch or anything like that. I really want you to understand. This is not complicated. What we do is not complicated. We only sell 3 buckets of money. Money for you and your family or employees if you're commercial, money for others you'll end up owing, and money to repair or replace what you choose to insure. And it doesn't matter what that policy is, okay? I have people trying to challenge me all the time, goes, no, insurance is way more complicated than that. No, it's not. So if I'm writing a skyscraper, if I'm writing a 50-story skyscraper, it's still those 3 pots of money. The policies that I write most right now, because I'm still licensed in all 50 states and I do write some policies, but right now my specialty is airports, right? Corporate and commuter airports. I literally have to get together 6 different carriers, 7 different carriers to put together an airport deal. Now, the premium on those things is why I spend my time writing airports. Anyone that's ever written a commuter airport, you know the premium is ridiculous. The revenue is ridiculous, right? Which is why I spend my time there. But when I'm putting together, you know, I got Marsh and I got AIG and I got Willis Group and I got all these other, you know, people that all these carriers that I'm putting together. At the end of the day, I'm still selling 3 pots of money. Money for you and your employees. So the pilots, if something were to happen to them, if the staff, something were to happen to them, if a workers' comp claim, something were to happen, or health insurance, something were to happen. So money for you and your employees. Money for others you'll end up owing, whether it's a liability claim, whether it's some vendor I have to pay, whether it's some repair I got to do, or money to repair or replace what you choose to insure, whether the runway goes bad, whether the plane wheel blows out, whether the food service tray gets messed up, it doesn't matter. Don't make this complicated. We sell 3 buckets of money. Money for you and your family or employees if you're commercial, money for others you'll end up owing, and then money to repair or replace what we choose to insure. When you can make it that simple for a customer, you're going to sell a hell of a lot more policies. Pure and simple.
I love how you break that down and make that so simple. And, you know, you make everything seem so simple. And I think, you know, if anybody can hear, like what you said earlier, it comes down to those processes that you put in, and it comes to those things as DJ brought up. And once you can get those things going, and I'm trying to do that in my own life, is, you know, I'm reading a book, Atomic Habits, right now. I'm trying to change my habits and what I'm doing. And as we're wrapping up, I do want to throw out 2 quick things before we wrap up, and maybe give somebody else to ask a question. But if Togo will to unmute for just a second, as y'all know, if you listen to my show, Togo is one of my sponsors. I want to give him 5 seconds to say hi. If you want to throw your email in the chat, if you're not familiar with Canopy Connect, that's my guy. He makes things so easy. Okay, Togo, you want to say hi a minute?
Yeah, hey everybody. I definitely met a bunch of you already, seeing some familiar faces, and the rest of you have seen you on Facebook and stuff. So yeah, definitely seeing some familiar faces here. Yeah, I'm Toga, founder and CEO at Canopy Connect. Dr. Williams, that was fascinating. Thanks for laying all that out. I love how you kind of break everything down into like, really kind of understanding the fundamentals of what's going on. I think that applies not only to insurance, but to every business. For us, we're not an insurance company, but we work with insurance agencies. And so definitely gets the wheels spinning on things that we can implement here too. But yeah, what we do in case for those who don't already know, we built a one-click solution that allows an insured to instantly and securely share a copy of their insurance information with an agency. I'm not here to like sell it very much or anything. So just if you want to learn more about us, definitely shoot me an email or check us out.
Yeah, definitely.
Canopy.com. My email is
Toga. Didn't you start Agency Zoom?
No, I'm the other Tolga.
The other
Tolga.
Different Tolga,
but
yeah.
He does, Canopy Connect is a phenomenal product. And I wanted to give him a shout out because everybody that signed up through my show just loves it. He does make things easier. I wanted to give one other quick shout out to a guy that joined a little bit later with Andy Priestman over at Cover Desk. You'll hear in the future, we got, he just signed up. Your support, Andy, if you just want to say hi for a minute.
Hey everyone,
Hey,
nice
Andy.
to meet. How's it going, Caitlin?
Good to see you.
Good to see everyone. I'm excited to have Covered Us is now a sponsor of Insurance Town. So looking forward to getting to know everyone. And so I'm an agent as well. I've been an agent for God knows how many years. So love to connect with everyone and just talk shop really at any time. So thanks, Heath.
Yeah, dude, I just definitely want to do that. And then, if anybody else has any questions, or if Stacy, if you want to say anything about PIA at all, my lovely bride, Stacy, if you want to say anything, if not, anybody else have any questions?
One thing I do want to bring up, if you guys want to know more about my program, just go to inspiringnation.org. I put it in the chat box. But also, I've written a book called Don't Let Your Ice Cream Get Messy. And ice cream is an acronym like income and money, covering your weakness, ego, emotion, expectation. And I've got a free handout. I say I don't give out anything free, but I do give this out free. Go to icecreamlessons.com, icecreamlessons.com, and print out that handout. And just it's called Lessons Business Owners Usually Learn the Hard Way. So the whole title is Ice Cream Lessons. Lessons business owners usually learn the hard way. And so that's a free handout that I've written out for you guys.
Always selling, bro. I appreciate that. Stacy, do you want to say anything about PA at all? Nope. Okay. Anybody else have any questions or anything before we wrap up? I appreciate everybody joining. Cash, you said nothing back there. I see you. You look like you're in your kid's classroom at the elementary school. Where are you at, Cash?
He's in his office. Cash has been listening.
Yeah, he has. Look at him trying to get unmuted real quick, but love it. There you go.
My mouse, it keeps shutting off. I can't get to the mute button. No, I've been listening in and absorbing all the things while taking a couple of calls from customers, I must admit. So, but no, good stuff.
Man, I appreciate it.
Well, it's only good if you apply it, guys. The way I look at any information that I put out, there's information, knowledge, and wisdom. Information is what anybody can gather. Knowledge is how you use that information. Wisdom is how you pass that on to other people. So my goal every day is to pass on wisdom, not just information. So I need you to apply it and turn it into knowledge. Information, knowledge, wisdom. I want to give you stuff you're using, not just stuff that you can get on the damn internet from Google.
Billy, can I get a signed copy of your book?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Share with one of my agents.
There you go. Well, again,
you've already had it, DJ. You've already.
I was gonna say, are you talking about this guy?
Yeah.
Now, that's depending on how many Billy wants to give me, but yeah, that would be awesome to be able to help.
Well, it's a free download, so download as many as you want. I'll sign them.
There you go. And
there's no hard copy. I can't get.
No, not of Ice Cream Lessons. I do have a book called How to Build a $10 Million Agency in 5 Years. So that book is out, but I don't want to make this a promotional thing.
You're not
brought me on because he wanted me.
No, my wife
did a promotional thing. I want it.
Well, he wanted just go to my site, inspirenation.org, and I have written a book called How to Build a $10 Million Agency in 5 years or less. But the main thing I wanted to do today was just have you guys know it's really simple. Like I said, S4TS, S, 4 T's and an S. Standards, task, tools, time, training, and spot checking. If you will just put those things together, the S4TS, have standards in your agency, identify the tasks that are producing the most money and taking care of your customers the best, identify the technology that actually talks to each other and doesn't make their job harder, but make their job easier, right? Make sure that you set aside the time to actually do the key things that you need to do, train on those things, and then spot check. S4TS.
Yes, sir. If you didn't write it down the first time you said it, hopefully you did that time. Thank you again for sharing that. Thank you for joining us and hanging out with us. Yeah, I've given everybody plenty of time to ask questions if they wanted to. I hope they got a chance to. His next book will be How to Become a Scratch Golfer in 1 year. This dude is
I'm actually writing a book. I'm not lying. I'm writing a book on golfing and my experience with learning to golf and how it correlates with business. So I'm actually doing that.
Literally, if you haven't listened to that podcast with Jason Cass, he started a plug for him now, but he started less than a year ago and he's already a 20 handicap or a 10 handicap. What's your handicap?
No, right now I think I'm 15 and I've actually qualified. Yeah, I've actually qualified, just to let you know, because this Sunday I'm playing in San Antonio. I've actually qualified for the U.S. Amateur Tour.
Dude, I've been playing for 20 years and I'm like a 35 handicapped. You're killing me here.
Yeah, but I play every day, dude. I play every single day.
I live on a golf course. I'm still terrible. But anyhow, that's beside the point. The man is talented. He's taught us so much. Again, I appreciate you more than you know, my brother.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Heath. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Good to see everyone. Thanks, Dr. Williams.
Playing and looking at a golf course.
Thank you for hanging out with me and Billy and the rest of the gang on the show today in Insurance Town. So glad that you were here. It was so much fun. This episode was recorded and edited and produced by my man Ryan Mayfield over at Ready Set Podcast. Go to www.getreadysetpodcast.com and check it out. If you have an idea for your own show, look him up on the website or go to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. You'll find him. He's everywhere. He does a great job. Reach out to him and take care of those needs for you. That is getreadysetpodcast.com. Ready Set Podcast, turning your brilliant idea into a reality. Thanks again, guys. I look forward to hanging out with you again next week.